Hello world, and welcome to our video podcast. In this episode, we're going to use Lineform to create a simple but spiffy icon. Select the rectangle tool in the toolbar and drag out a square. Hold down the Shift key to keep it a perfect square. We're going to round the edges of the square now. Why? Because it's spiffy. From the toolbar, select the Edit tool. Click on the upper left corner of the square and drag towards the center. See the corners rounding? That's spiffy. Now we're going to fill this with a gradient. In the Fill Inspector, click on the pop-up button and select Gradient. This will fill your shape with a grayscale gradient. Not too spiffy. Let's give it some color. Back to the Fill Inspector. Click on the slider on the left side. This opens up your Max Colors palette. Choose a nice, rich color, like orange. Orange is spiffy. Now click on the right slider and choose a color that blends well with orange, yellow. Back to the Fill Inspector. Click on the Position button. Drag the arrow point in the direction you want the gradient to flow. By holding down the Shift key, you can constrain the angle. Now let's get rid of the outline. In the Stroke Inspector, click on the pop-up and select None. Now we need to put something in the square. We'll use simple text for the purpose of this podcast. Click on the Text tool in the toolbar. Now click on the square and enter a character. To change the font style, and the font size, go to the Show Fonts menu under Format in the menu bar. Select All to highlight the text, then adjust your font. If your color palette is still open, choose White. When you're done, click on the Selection tool, then click somewhere outside the shape. Now move the text to a desired location. For added spiffiness, resize the text by dragging the corners. Click again on a spot outside the shape to deselect the objects. Now here's a trick to give your icon that sweet candy look. Making sure you have nothing selected, click on the Oval tool in the toolbar. Check to make sure that your fill is set to None. Now drag out an oval, like so. Now click on the Selection tool and click on the square. Copy it or hit Command-C, then choose Paste in Place. This will put a new square directly over your other objects. Now hold down the Shift key to also select the oval shape. With the square and oval selected, choose Intersect from the Objects menu. Now remember how we did the gradient for the square? We're going to do the same thing with this new shape to create a highlight effect. In the Fill Inspector, choose White for the beginning of the gradient. Then choose White again for the end of the gradient, but this time lower the opacity to 0. Again, click on the Position button to rotate the direction of the gradient to point downwards. Now let's get rid of the black outline by setting the stroke to None. Now that's spiffy. We have one more step to give this icon some dimension. Click on the square and in the Effects Inspector, click on the Has Shadow button. Now click and drag in the box next to the button to position the shadow. Oh yeah! Nice! Remember, Lineform is resolution independent. This means the stuff you create will look good at any size, whether it be on screen or on a giant poster. That's it for this episode. There's a lot you can do with Lineform. Keep your eyes open for more podcasts. Until then, good night, Moon.